losses making up the other 10%. And let's look at that per capita now. And the last records we have from the World Resources Institute are from 2005, but it really does try to put things in perspective. Trinidad emits about 19.5 metric tons per person. I'll try and put that in context for you. Jamaica, which Dr. Patopsing just spoke highly about, is 3.8, Barbados 4.5, and the USA is 19.8, the UK is 8.9. So you see we're emitting the same amount of carbons per head as the USA, which is quite high for a non-developed nation. So where are we today? What has been audited? Trinidad has been audited by the government of the government. Their draft climate change policy has spoken about the energy sector, and they've bulked that in with transport and power generation, and they've audited the industrial processes. What we need to audit now is the residential and commercial aspects and the other aspects of energy generation. And hopefully this launch will go into that, because I think we're targeting small to medium enterprises, which is where the commercial falls. Just suffice it to say that buildings consume quite a bit of energy in its construction, in its operation, in its maintenance. So even though we haven't been audited, the fact that buildings consume about 14% of all our water, 30% waste, 38% carbon dioxide emissions, 40% raw materials use, 24 to 50% energy use, and 72% of electricity consumption is quite high. These are US-based standards, but remember we're emitting the same carbon tons per head as America, so we can use it as a good guide. And just to put things in perspective again, a commercial office building consumes energy in that way. The bulk of our energy consumption goes into our cooling. In the States, it's 25% for cooling and 23% for heating. We don't have heating here, so we can say about 50% of our energy demands is going into air conditioning. Okay, how to go green? There's a concept called the triple bottom line, which, because green can be seen as an expensive investment, they try to target it from a holistic approach. So you're doing the people, planet, profit imperative. You're addressing each of these like a three-legged stool. So it looks at the environment, the economy, and society, or people, planet, and profit. And that relates to each industry: manufacturing, agro-processing, commercial, tourism, energy, residential, you name it. What does it mean by people? You're looking at the comfort of occupants. The greater our comfort tends to be the greater our productivity. If you work out the overheads of your operation, you'll find that your greatest investment is going into your people. You're paying the most in salaries. So the more comfortable they are, the more productive they will be, is the more profitable your company can be. You're talking about awareness and education. You're trying to generate that culture of thinking green. So within your organization, you can engender that practice, in simple things. You can encourage the use of recycled paper or print on both sides of the paper, whatever. It's just small steps. Planet, we're looking at energy efficiency, water efficiency, waste management, and resource reduction. We're essentially trying to save the planet while meeting the needs of our people. And profit, don't be fooled that green is just a noble cause. There's a lot of money to be made. Your organization will save a lot of money by going green. You can become more competitive. You display corporate social responsibility and goodwill, which is that kind of tacit value that your firm imbibes by displaying a certain sense of responsibility to the environment. Okay, so how do we go green, really? What does that mean in a practical sense? For manufacturing, it might mean streamlining your processes. I don't know. It's for you to say. Agro-processing, maybe utilize low-impact chemicals. Commercial, you can develop employee awareness and education programs within your organization. Tourism, waste efficiency. I think in Jamaica, Sandals gives you, the guest, the option of when to wash your towels, a simple thing like that. Most hotels wash your towels every day. But in Sandals, they put a basket in the room with a little sign and saying, if you don't want your towels washed today, let us know. Don't drop them in the basket. So you're saving detergent, you're saving water, and you're making the guests feel like they're a stakeholder. In energy, maybe you could optimize your efficiencies. Residential, maybe we can use low energy appliances. I know energy is cheap in Trinidad, but it does bring some value to your household. So let's look at the cost versus value of going green. As I said earlier, it is seen as an expensive venture. And how do we tackle this? Well, I think one way to do is to develop a green capital needs assessment. So within your organization, you try to establish a framework for the identification and evaluation of sensible green mechanisms, whether for existing assets or future assets. And what that really means is that you're setting down an action plan of how you can go green. You need to conduct energy auditing. You need to know what you're expending now so that you can make your systems more efficient. And this is a part of the program that the CAIC is launching. Because if you don't know where you are, then you don't know where you need to get to. And then you need to conduct cash flow analyses and decision metrics for each green recommendation. So you as a manager or a stakeholder can start to weigh the balances of what you need to do to get green and how expensive or inexpensive it can be. And then you target that. So you tier it from the least expensive to the most expensive. It's called the low-hanging fruit. So at the bottom of the tree, you'll spend less. You get smaller rewards, perhaps. But as you leverage your business to go green, you can incrementally increase your expenditure and aim for the big fruit at the top. Spend more, but your rewards are much greater. So there we have it. You're leveraging the green implementation plan. You're tailoring your approach towards incrementally greater capital measures. So just as a broad example, let's say you had a 10-year implementation plan. The first 3 years, you could change out all your lighting to energy-efficient lighting. Or you could adopt a sustainable purchasing policy, meaning you're buying recycled paper or green cleaning products. And the money that you save through these mechanisms, you then leverage it for the next 3 years. So you take that money and you replace the internal finishes, say. You change out your carpets or your paints to more energy-efficient systems. You change out your computers and your copiers to Energy Star equipment. And then you use the savings from that to leverage the next 3 years. So year 7 to 10, you can replace your building systems. Remember I said air conditioning takes up most of our energy consumption. A lot of buildings in Trinidad have very inefficient mechanical ventilation systems. So it's something to consider. And now you have the, the gas chillers. I know it's very controversial here. You have other ways of cooling buildings that are a lot more efficient than what we have now. Very briefly, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It's a benchmarking system that's based in North America. It's completely voluntary, but it can be seen as a regulatory mechanism. It really approaches building and design from basically 6 main categories, looking at sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere that deals with your building systems and the impact on the environment in terms of CFCs and off-gassing and so on. Materials and resources, the use in your building. Where are you getting your material from? Is it from a recyclable source or a renewable source? Indoor environmental quality. As we become more developed, we're spending a lot more time inside our offices. We need to think about these things and how healthy is our internal environment. And then innovation in design or operations. They reward you for doing anything creative within your operation, or your design to make the system more green. I think in the past, they've awarded companies for introducing an education program. And then regional priority targets North American territories because a North American-based system. We wouldn't fall into that category, but the fact is, because the landmass is so large, and I guess you could think of that for the Caribbean as well, even though we're one Caribbean, each island has different contextual parameters. In North America, Arizona might have water problems, whereas in Washington, it might be flooding problems. All right, so I'm going to look at a case study now of an actual building we've done, because I know the concepts can be a little abstract, but I've tried to break down and simplify what we've done in the past to help organizations go green. Okay, this is a project we did for a client who was interested in displaying its environmental responsibility. And the diagrams will be limited to a cross-section through the building. It was a 3-story building,